Hello and good morning. My name is Allison Whiting, and I'm one of two appellants, so we'll each take a turn to speak if that's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you for hearing our appeal today. We appreciate your time and consideration on this important matter. We are here appealing the stripping and grading permit for the Sky Ranch subdivision Phase 1. The fact of the matter is that this stripping and grading permit should never have been issued. You will have seen in our appeal submission that egregious procedural errors were made at every step leading up to this permit being granted. And I will get to the specifics of the development permit itself in a moment, but I think the context is really important here to explain our concerns. You'll see in the appeal letter that these errors include failure to follow due process for the circulation and notification of the original conceptual scheme, omission of the town of Cochrane's concerns during the initial conceptual scheme approval, an inaccurate record of the motion the council approved in January included in the May council meeting package, and I'll also note that it is still inaccurately presented in today's meeting package in attachment B of the exhibit, a seemingly poor knowledge of the land use bylaw and the definition of a conceptual scheme and how it should be processed under the Municipal Government Act, as well as a number of smaller errors clearly indicating that meeting packages are not being proofread, let alone vetted for accuracy. In addition to these errors already outlined to you, there are conflicting statements about the per unit density in the May 2025 council package when Phase 1 was approved. The developer's application letter states that the Phase 1 will be 8.1 units per acre, which should be noted is significantly higher than the 6.25 net max that they were approved for in the conceptual scheme. But the administration's council note states that the density is 6.1 units per acre. Now, either that is a typo or the administration calculates density differently, and if that is the case, why is the administration's calculations allowing the developer two extra units basically on the house? Rocky View County administration have demonstrated an alarming pattern of procedural and factual errors that call into question the integrity of this entire subdivision. Either information is being purposely buried or misrepresented in order to serve the ulterior motive, or it's down to incompetence and no one actually caring enough to do a good job. I won't speculate on the motive here, but whatever the reason, this is not an acceptable level of work from an entity that is paid for by our tax dollars. And this stripping and grading permit is no different. While our primary ask is that the permit be revoked entirely until all procedural errors prior to this can be addressed, if that is not within the board's power today, then we must have clear and enforceable provisions included in the development permit itself. Most concerningly is that the permit states subject development shall conform to the noise control bylaw. However, when you read that bylaw, it explicitly states that activities approved for in development permits are exempt from the bylaw. This is yet again another example of administration not being knowledgeable of their own bylaws. And this is legally unenforceable, and I have spoken to a lawyer about it. Now, I've read the developer's construction management plan, and honestly, I believe he's a decent guy and he probably will conform to the noise bylaw, but that management plan is not a legally binding document. And the fact remains that development permits are exempt from the noise control bylaw, leaving a glaring legal loophole that puts residents at risk. We must have specific language in the development permit that reflects the operational hours the developer defines in the construction management plan, and language that specifically states that this development permit is not exempt from the noise control bylaw. We also need specific language in the development permit to manage construction vehicle movements. The development permit, I think as you've noted, says that no material shall be imported or exported off the subject site. But material is not a defined term. It is not defined in the permit or in the land use bylaw. And according to the construction management plan, it sounds like the following materials will be imported to the subject site, including water, herbicides, fencing materials, and enough gravel to install construction access. So it's obvious that there will be construction vehicle movements along Cochrane Lake West in order to get to that site. But Cochrane Lake West is also a school bus route. There are a number of stops along that road, and it has a hard shoulder and no sidewalk. Currently, there are no provisions in this development permit, the construction management plan, or even the road use agreement bylaw that limit what time of day construction vehicle movements can occur. So we are asking that these movements be restricted during school bus operating hours to ensure maximum safety for students waiting at the bus stop. Our ultimate ask is that the entire permit be revoked and the process leading up to this subdivision being approved be investigated for procedural fairness and adherence to all policies, bylaws, and the Municipal Government Act. Quite literally, no one should build houses on a broken foundation. But at the very least, the vague and contradictory language of the development permit must be corrected to ensure the protection, safety, and peace of local residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Whiting.